Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you like WWE or wrestling in general, this is the place for you to be. I book WWE the way I think the fans would want it to be booked. I go back and rework old storylines the way I think it should have been booked. And I go review old shows based on what you guys want me to do. So, right now I have tasked myself with Sting in the WWE. Well, this is probably going to be at least a 3-part series. In order to redo the Sting storyline, I have to go back to WrestleMania 30. We all know he made his WWE debut at Survivor Series for that year. But for this, we have to go back to WrestleMania 30. And WrestleMania 30, something happened that a lot of folks didn't like, namely the ending of the streak. In this timeline, the streak is still intact. So The Undertaker defeats Brock at WrestleMania 30. Brock will still go on and beat Cena at SummerSlam to win the championship. And also, during the Royal Rumble, they're still going to have that triple threat match with Brock, Cena, and Seth, and that was a really good match. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. But now we're going to Survivor Series where everything takes place. So the debut for Sting was done really well. The only thing that I would change about that was the amount of time that Seth spent selling for Dolph Ziggler's zigzag. There was 10 minutes between Dolph Ziggler hitting the zigzag, Triple H and the Authority coming out to attack Ziggler, and Sting making his appearance to take out Triple H and then put Rollins on top of, or put Dolph Ziggler on top of Rollins. I think that he should have gave Rollins a Scorpion Death Drop and then put Ziggler on top. That's the only thing I would change about that. And of course, Cena has to be the one to bring the Authority back. And that whole thing with Edge being beaten up and Cena bringing back the Authority, that will still happen, much to the chagrin of some other people. But where this really starts picking up is the Royal Rumble match. Now, in the Royal Rumble, it comes down to Big Show and Kane, Daniel Bryan, and Roman. There's going to be no appearance from The Rock here, okay? What's going to happen is Kane gets eliminated, but he comes back in to help Big Show, and Triple H comes down and he hits pedigrees on Roman and Daniel Bryan. They toss Daniel Bryan over and the crowd is going bonkers in a bad way because we know what happens. What's going to happen next is they're about to eliminate Roman, and the lights go out. Sting comes from the ceiling and lays them all out with a bat. And Roman eventually gets a Superman punch to Big Show, and he eliminates him. Roman wins. The crowd is booing. You also notice that a lot of storylines are intertwining with each other here. So Roman hears the boos, and he immediately says to everybody who supported me, thanks, and to everyone else, I've busted my ass for you, and this is how you treat me. Screw you. So now Roman is a tweener. He's really doing that part where he's not a good guy, he's not a bad guy. But he does have some heelish tendencies toward the end. So what is going to happen is the next night on Raw, Triple H comes out and says that Sting was dead for 14 years and you can't handle that WCW is dead. Sting appears on the Tron and says, if you really think that this is about WCW, then you're a damn fool. I'll be at Fastlane to sign the contract. And Fastlane is pretty much the same thing. It goes down, Sting lays Triple H out, signs the contract for WrestleMania 31. The next night on Raw, Sting explains that he never came over because he saw how mismanaged other WCW guys were, especially during the invasion angle. And now he's just fighting for what is right. He's not fighting for WCW. The same night, Ryback appears in a match and overpowered. Ryback beats up a jobber. He says he can outpower anybody in the WWE, and then says, feed me more. And then the bong, the Undertaker appears, chokeslams Ryback. So right now we have Taker versus Ryback, Sting versus Triple H, Brock versus Roman. And Undertaker beats Ryback, or Sting goes over Triple H with no NWO involvement, because it doesn't make sense, because one, Sting was their biggest enemy in WCW. Two of the original members were part of the clique in the first place. So why would they come back and help Sting? But DX can still interfere because that makes sense. They were with Triple H. But Sting will get help from a recently exiled Randy Orton from the Authority, who comes in and drops everybody with RKOs and leaves. And then what happens is you get the Stinger Splash, Scorpion Death Drop, and then the Scorpion Death Lock. Triple H taps out. And the Rollins cash in at the end of the night still happens. He cashes in on Brock and wins the belts. Brock's suspension goes as planned, but he comes back at that Battleground. And that's where I'm going to leave you from here, because I think my phone's about ready to cut off. But stay tuned for part 2. I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.